the issue of DACA recipients, these are young people who were brought to this country through no fault of their own, illegally, but who have been granted temporary protections to be here. Their plight might go back again to the U.S. Supreme Court. Let's talk about it in our segment, Unbelievable. To me, the issue of so-called dreamers is really something that I believe shows the fundamental failure of the two-party system in the United States of America. And I have a strong opinion on this. I think that these children who were brought here, yes, they were brought here illegally, but they were brought here sometimes as toddlers, as infants, through no fault of their own. The United States is the only place that they have ever known. And the idea of making them stay here in limbo, not knowing whether they are true Americans, whether they're going to be able to stay here, even if they've been here now and they're adults and they've been here their entire lives as children. The idea that maybe one day they could be sent back to a country they don't even know. It bothers me deeply. And one of the reasons that it bothers me deeply is both parties have feigned support for dreamers over the years. Both parties, and by the way, the American populace, polls have shown repeatedly that Americans, by and large, want dreamers to be full-blown Americans with all the protections and to be able to put the saga behind them. And what has been really bothersome over the years is Democrats and Republicans alike have said, yes, we want protections for dreamers, but they always want it in exchange for something else. They want to use these people who they say they care about, whose plight they say they care about. They want to use them as political pawns. Not just Republicans, Democrats have done it as well. And now, again, these court cases keep coming up, and this issue is likely to go back to the U.S. Supreme Court when it doesn't have to. Congress can deal with this. If Republicans and Democrats truly want to find a solution for the dreamers, they could do it. And they could avoid these routine, repeated legal battles, and they could avoid another legal battle in the U.S. Supreme Court. So the latest ruling, this is from the New York Times, federal judge again rules DACA is illegal. The judge maintained that President Barack Obama exceeded his authority when he created the program, which has allowed thousands of young undocumented immigrants to avoid deportation and work legally. The New York Times goes on to say the decision is the latest twist in a 5-year-long court saga that has left the program and its beneficiaries, known as dreamers, hanging in the balance. While the ruling is a blow to the immigrants, the judge did not mandate an immediate end to the program. Current applicants will be able to keep and renew their protection. No new applications will be allowed. The government is almost certain to appeal the decision to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, experts said, and the case is likely to end up in the Supreme Court. And then the judge in this case who issued this ruling said exactly what I've said on this issue, is that regardless of whether Obama exceeded his authority in granting these protections, Congress can fix it. Congress can make it right. The judge saying in his opinion on Wednesday, the judge nominated by President George W. Bush said that the administration's effort amounted to, quote, instituting its own solution regardless of the dictates of Congress. He added, the executive branch cannot usurp the power bestowed on Congress by the Constitution, even to fill a void. And look, I agree. If there's a program or something the president has done, whatever president it is, that's unconstitutional, that is using powers that the Constitution does not grant to them, I agree that we can't just let that slide, right? So if what Obama did really was overstepping his authority and Congress should have been the one to dictate protections for dreamers, then yes. But at this stage, the best way to fix it is for Congress to make a decision, is for Congress to decide, do we actually care about these young people or not? Now, all of that being said, in my very strong opinion that dreamers should be granted full-blown citizenship and this issue should be put to bed, that doesn't mean that I think that should be the case in perpetuity. One of the common arguments against doing that for these dreamers is that, well, you're just encouraging individuals to continue to bring their young children, their infants across the border, hoping that the U.S. will continue to do what it did for this group of dreamers. I'm not advocating for that. What I'm advocating for is to fix what's already been done. The individuals who've already been approved under the program, who already have the protections to be here, to work here legally, make them Americans. Congress can do that. But I'm not saying you do that for every other person who wants to bring a child illegally across the southern border, because then you do encourage that sort of behavior and it erodes the security at the southern border even further. So these are two separate issues. What to do with individuals who come in moving forward, who weren't part of the program, and what to do, again, with people who came here as kids, who this is the only country they've ever known. many of whom have gone to school here, have gone to college here, have worked here legally under this program, have paid taxes legally for years, might be adults now, and they know no other country than the United States of America. And I was, just reminiscing, because this is a topic I've been doing commentaries on for a long time, including back when I was at Fox 13, and it bothers me. Democrats bother me more with this, because there have been instances where Democrats, they want to act like they have the moral high ground on this issue, but there have been times where they had the power, the control, the votes to be able to get protections for Dreamers. But they didn't want to do it they didn't want to have to give Trump things that Trump wanted in exchange for protections for Dreamers. They didn't want to have to give in to his demands for more security measures at the southern border. And then Republicans is the same. They're like, oh, we care about the Dreamers. However, we don't want these things attached to it, essentially. If we didn't have such an absolutely broken two-party system in this country, where the parties are looking out only for their own best interests, where they are absolutely incapable of coming together to work on anything meaningful, if we didn't have the two-party system, this would not be an issue anymore. Truly, this would not be an issue anymore. But all that fake, feigned, unbelievable care and concern for the Dreamers, they put that aside for the sake of their own political parties. Because political party comes first. When you're in politics, that comes before anything. And yes, even for Democrats, that comes before the suffering and the uncertainty of these Dreamers that they've had for years and years and years. And they can say up and down that they care about them, but their actions have shown that they don't. And Republicans are to blame as well. If you wanted to fix the issue, you could. At this point, it is truly unbelievable. And honestly, it is quite shameful.